Closing is always easy when you're in Cardone U. We role play with Grant Cardone's team. They know just what to do. They're always there to support us. We couldn't ask for more. On our way in the right direction, we found what we're looking for. In FLC, in FLC. Closing is better with appointment setters. You'd better believe we're not a team but a family. We work together in harmony. We are devoted, on that you can quote me, in FLC.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the FLC Hangout, where your freedom lifestyle begins. It's already falling off. As you can tell, we've tried to fit in with these guys today because we have 5 amazing guys on this call. I know a couple of weeks ago we were celebrating the women and now it's time to celebrate the guys. So I'm really excited. Thank you everyone for being here, by the way. I know you've all got very busy schedules, but each of these guys are people that I have once upon a time or still do look up to, get inspiration from, and yeah, I really appreciate all of you. So without further ado, Misty, over to you.
Hey guys, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We are so appreciative of every one of you guys. We love you all very much, and we wanted to take today and really celebrate you guys, because you guys make such a huge impact not only in our lives but in everybody's life that you come across, and you really deserve to be celebrated. So with all of that said, we would like to know, because like Josie said, we had a couple questions for you guys just to kind of get things rolling, and then we're going to let you guys go in and say whatever you want. It's open mic. So the question we had was, we know you guys are so, excuse the expression, freaking amazing. You guys are rocking it, kicking butt every day. We wanted to know, who do you guys look up to that's successful, that you kind of try to model? Is there anybody like that kind of stands out to you that you could share with other people and be like, this is why I follow this guy, this is why, so feel free to answer anytime, guys. Get me to shut up. Shut up, Misty.
Seb looks ready to go. Go on, Seb.
Ready? Did my face say something?
You lit up. You were like,
oh, I know exactly.
Well, so this might be a bit of a curveball answer. A little bit, what do you say? Left field, out of field? I don't know. I'm not.
Left field.
English is a struggle. You know what I'm saying? But I can answer your question. But first of all, thank you so much for having us on. It's a pleasure to be on the Hangout. It's been a while. And with such high esteemed guests as well. I feel so, surrounded by greatness. So thank you for that. But my answer to the question, who do I look up to? You might not expect this, but it is the first person that came into my mind, is actually two of my teachers from school. And they were both music teachers, funnily enough. One in primary school, Mr. Cockerham, great teacher, amazing. And then in high school, my form tutor, like my teacher for my class, and then also the head of music was the same guy. So I was like, whoa, not a coincidence, because there's no such thing, but I was like, okay, cool. Love that. And he was called Mr. Man. Great name. We made all the jokes. When he got married, his wife was Mrs. Man.
Mrs. Woman.
Oh.
You can't make these things up.
I said Mrs. Woman.
Mrs. Woman. No, Mrs. Man. Get it right. But yeah, these two I think were, and then obviously my dad as well, of course. But I think those three people I really still look up to. And it's interesting because obviously like we're all entrepreneurs here, or intrapreneurs, and we all do the whole freedom lifestyle thing. And there's so many business mentors that I could mention now, but I don't think I would have got to this stage in my life if it hadn't been for the foundations that those three laid, whether it was at home with my dad and the different lessons that he instilled into me, and the different, just perspectives that he had on life, and even all the bad jokes, all of the things. But he's got a lot of wisdom in there, and he shares it in his own way, but it really sets in. So obviously growing up around that at home, but then primary school and high school, obviously like those early years of your life, they're so formative, right? That's where all these limiting beliefs and the how we view the world, that's where it all comes from. So I feel very blessed to have been injected with a very creative, I guess, because my dad's a musician, and obviously it's two music teachers that I'm listing here, all very creative. So they've got that shared outlook, I guess, which is maybe why I resonate with all of them. But without those three people, I wouldn't be who I am and where I am today, for sure, for sure. So,
I'm a little surprised you didn't mention your grandpa. Honest.
of course, strong like bull.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. For those that don't know, my granddad's Ukrainian, and he's very set in his ways. He's very 98, you know. So, and his English is not very good. So he's strong
But he
like
does.
bull.
He does know strong like bull. That's all you need to know, really. Yeah.
And he also knows the word hooligan, which is one of his favorite words. Everyone's a hooligan. If you're too slow in the car, you are a hooligan. Maybe it's for slow people, actually. If you're too slow at the checkout at the tills, bear in mind he's 98 going around Sainsbury's with a trolley. Amazing. Like we drive him there, obviously, but then like he's doing that. But then he'll go like there'll be like a 30-year-old in front of him and he'll go, hooligan, walk on past really fast.
Could you imagine being overtaken by a 98-year-old and being called a hooligan? I don't think I would ever get over that, actually.
Get yourself down to Leeds, go to Sainsbury's, and it's likely to happen.
Up to Leeds for me.
Oh yeah, up to Leeds.
But yeah, what you were saying is so true, that it's like you don't realize until later on really how much of an impact people early in your life have. Because like now looking back, at the time, all my teachers were just like, they were just teachers. But now looking back, it's like, oh, like I actually took inspiration took little parts of each of them. So yeah, no, I fully agree. Andy and Ronan, what about you?
I'll go first. I was thinking about this long and hard. I thought Seb was going to say Patrick Stewart at one stage as well. No,
That goes without saying.
I've had a lot of people come and go in my life, and a lot of people have looked up to and inspired to be like or tried to model or whatever. But going back to like my very first start in like wanting to be my own boss and entrepreneurial, there's a guy called Doyle Brunson who was a poker player. So I got into the industry being an online poker player. And funny enough, I didn't pay attention at school. I didn't really look up to any teachers. I learned maths by learning odds and probability of poker and hands coming through. So I looked up to this guy and wanted to learn everything I could about that. And that allowed me to become a side hustle and make money from that. One of my first managers in my call center job when I was a financial analyst for Argos and Homebase, this Jason Cartmel, he won't be watching, but hats off to him. I always got brought up, if I've done something wrong, I'll hold my hands up. If I've not, I would argue the toss. No, maybe that's young, egotistical Andrew or whatever, but this guy took me under his wing when nobody else would. And at a time when I kind of wanted to progress, but I wasn't progressing. If your face wasn't fit, it didn't fit, you didn't get promoted. This guy was trying everything to do it. But then he set me off on the entrepreneurial path where he was going, well, look, like, this isn't for you. Like, he was like, as much as you can do this job, you can do it blindfolded, sitting on your hands upside down. Like, you need something else. You can't sit still. So that's when I started looking into affiliate marketing. And then get rich quick schemes on the internet. So you're talking 2003, 2004. So for me, then one of the bigger people back then was Bob Proctor, I think. So like the laws of attraction angle started to come into play, and I was like, "Ooh, there's something in this." And then I started looking at Bob Proctor, Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins, them type of people. Then the likes of Grant Cardone came about. Then I went down rabbit holes with Aaron Doherty and people like that. And then I came to Master Shia Kashner, where I do look up to him from a spiritual point of view, but also from an entrepreneurial point of view. And we had many conversations whenever I was in Lincoln about different things and the reasons why. But then I'll be honest, at the moment, I don't have one. Now in my life at this moment in time, there's nobody that I would look up to. Whether that is, it's not egotistical in that. I think I'm waiting for the next master to appear, if that makes sense. So I think I'm at a journey, I'm at a point where I've learned all I can learn from the existing mentors, and I've put it out there, set it and forget it. And at the right time, someone else will come across to take my kind of teachings and leadership to the next level. But yeah, I think first manager, Doyle Brunson, who's a poker player, and then Bob Proctor is probably my three. Go on.
Let's go with that.
Nice.
If my one's got to be the first one's got to be him, 100%. Because growing up,
Your big brother, yeah.
yeah, this is my big brother, obviously, not my dad. So growing up, like I had this, seeing your dad go from, you know, my whole world is just literally just everyone was just working class, everyone's got their own jobs, and just you know was cracking on, just living a life. I never really seen like. There was no one in my family really until my uncle and my dad who started to build a business or even really got a decent job or anything, to be honest. I can't really think of many people, but seeing that my dad could do it from like a computer at home, do you know what I mean? And then seeing how he could build it from nothing and literally watching it as a kid, it just made me believe like anything is possible really, do you know what I mean? And it's inspired me to just, because I've seen the hard work, I've seen the discipline, I've seen it over so many years. So I think that's got to be the top one. You know what I mean? It's got to be the top one, because without that, it put me in a different perspective of life. So yeah, thank you for the big man over there.
It's hay fever.
Allergies. Yeah.
So I'll get on to another one, so don't make him cry. But yeah, I think Seb, I love what you said about the teacher before, because I wouldn't have thought about that if you didn't say about your teachers. There was a teacher when I was, I'd have love-hate relationships with a lot of my teachers in school. Like there was some of them I'd get along with great, some of them I'd just complain to my mum every day about them. But my mum, it's not my mum, but my form tutor, actually, from year 9 to year 11, she was called Miss Boyd Rugen. She didn't work at my school anymore, so I don't know where she is, but if you're out there watching this by any chance, thank you. Thank you very much. She, in year 11, we had this thing of like, it was quite a weird thing, to be honest. I don't know why they did this, but it was basically putting your hands up for who you believe what person in your form will do what. So it was like, put your hands up if you think Alex over there is going to be a footballer or something because he was good at football. Like, who's most likely to be what? And one of the questions was, who's most likely to be a millionaire? And in my little confident head, I was going, me. But I didn't want. Because obviously I've got that belief in myself, but I don't want to go like me. I'm gonna be one, because I didn't want to. I just doesn't feel like me. It'd feel like a bit of a knobhead. Sorry for swearing, but that's the best word I can find.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she just basically just went, oh yeah, I think it's gonna be Ronan. And I was just like, everyone just looked at me like this. I was a bit of a weird feeling, but I think that confidence that, I don't know why she fought me, I don't know why she picked me, but I was like, yeah, maybe she could pick up on my energy. but yeah, she picked me, and I thought that was very inspirational, and she's always been very helpful to me, like growing up. Any questions I'd have about life or anything, she'd help. She was just an English teacher, but having someone who's just speaking to me on a friendly basis, because I thought she'd be quite strict, to be honest, but she was actually really nice. So there's that one. And then if there's one that you want to watch online on YouTube, a guy that I know is probably about my age, but he's an absolute machine, such a hard worker. It's called Iman Gadzhi. So he spelled his name Iman. Everyone probably knows about him at the moment. He's went viral, but I've been watching him for the last couple of years. He's got his own agency like we have. He's done a lot of videos on like closing and sales calls and stuff like that, and just put it out for free on the internet. He's a very inspirational guy, to be honest. He's a multi-millionaire at the age of 22, 23, just doing this, and he's got all the information online. So if you want a bit of inspiration, go ahead and watch him.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. I will. I actually haven't heard of him, so I will. And it's also crazy how much of an impact such random people in your life can have, right? Like that teacher you said just said that she thought that you would be the millionaire, and now that's stuck with you. And like little things
like
that
confirmation.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like what Andy said about it's always changing, right? Because you find someone, you grow, and then you find someone else and you grow, and it always goes like that. So yeah, thank you so much. Pierre, P-Dog.
Hello. Yeah, I think it's hard. I don't think it's necessarily role models that I have or look up to, but it's people that I admire really. And I don't
You
know,
should
maybe
admire
that's,
the guy in the mirror.
I
Look up
appreciate
to the
it.
guy in the mirror. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but there's people I do admire. Like, I don't know if it's the same thing. But like, for example, well, it started with like my granddad, my great granddad, my dad, just family members, my brother as well. I think a lot of you know my brother. But yeah, like, so my great granddad, who lived to 100 years old, so I got to know him up until I was like 18. So that was awesome, like having that man in my life. Like, even though, as I got older, in my later teens, he got older and I saw him less than that, but he was able to speak less and all that. But like, hearing his stories and his dedication as well to me and my brother, especially like his great grandchildren, was incredible, and like to his family and everything that he did. And as well, like, just the sheer knowledge that man had, the sheer amount of like research. He was like well ahead of his time as well in terms of like health and all the things that we're kind of seeing now pop up. He was already doing back in like the 70s, 80s. Like, obviously I wasn't alive then, but my mum tells me that, and obviously I knew about it growing up. So there's that. And so yeah, my family members. And then I think one thing that stands out with the people I admire is people who just have the work ethic that just beyond any limitation. They go beyond any limitations, go against all the odds to really get what they want done, and they persevere through like failures, and they learn from it and keep going. And I think that the first time that I really kind of started to pick up on that with a guy called Casey Neistat. I don't know if you know, like, YouTuber, really big YouTuber. Maybe doing less YouTube now, but like filmmaker and stuff, and just like the work ethic that he had, and that really kind of started me on working on myself, personal development, and be like, oh, he's doing this much and I'm doing so little compared to what I could be doing. And then yeah, just seeing that, like, my brother, like the amount of time he dedicates to his craft, like music, incredible. Like, and the funny story is that we both started playing guitar at the same time, and then I ended up just being upstairs in my room playing video games while he was like playing guitar, learning drums and all that. Obviously surpassed me like super quick, so I really admire him for that. And then yeah, people like I think they've been mentioned already, Grant Cardone, and all that, but also like all you guys here as well. And I've learned a lot from all of you guys too. And me being where I am now is a testament to all of you as well, and what you're doing and everything that you've taught me too. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for that as well. So
I love it. I love it. And hearing you talk just now reminded me that a lot of times the people I feel like we look up to are people that remind us about areas of our life we can improve. Because there's sometimes you don't really know where you can improve until you find someone that's like excelling in that area, or like, wow, like I want to do that. So yeah, I love that so much. Mel, change hello.
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 So,
Hey, Mel.
hello. So for me, not anyone in specific, but I would say anyone that's been to the military, anyone that's been in the army, because as you guys may know, if you haven't seen our previous hangout, I was in the army for 4 months, just this past few months, March. I came back in March, and yeah, just anyone that has been to the army, has military training, Navy SEALs, like people that have that drive, that discipline, and that work ethic is really people that I really look up to, and really reminds me as well that I can do more and I can push myself a lot harder. And yeah, like that really inspires me. So I would say anyone that is in that space, or anyone that represents that discipline, that work ethic, that power, is people that I really admire. But there's no one like in specific at the moment. If I were to say like somebody specific in my life, then I'll probably say like the people that I was in the army with. Like, they're not necessarily the most likable people, but I respect them. Like, there's a difference. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're probably
Um,
likable outside of the army stuff. It's just when they're in the army, they have to be so hardcore that people are just like, this is too much. Chill
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And if you want to learn a thing or two about discipline and motivation, watch the Hangout with Mel, because this discipline is crazy. So yeah, Misty, what about you? I'm curious.
Just a second. Sorry. I just want to bring out that if you guys don't know, we've had episodes of the podcast with each one of these guys. So each one of these guys bring so much information and so much impact, and like in tremendous amount of information. Go back and watch their episodes. You know, take notes, use it. You look up to these guys. These guys are amazing. Follow them on their Instagrams everywhere you can. They're doing incredible things, and they're impacting the world and changing lives on a daily basis. So watch them. As for me, I do look up to every one of these guys. There's something different about every one of these guys that really resonates with me. So yeah, these guys definitely. I do look up to Master Shreya Krishna because not only is he good at business, he's, you know, I'm not all that big into the woo-woo stuff either. I mean, I like it, I'll do it, but it's not something I do on a daily basis just because I can't. I'm just not built that way. I'm just a free spirit on my own. But the way he's doing his business is also very impactful, and I love that. And the way he brings heart and just knowledge to it, I love that. Other than these guys and Master, I don't know that there's anybody else that has really impacted my life, because the men in my life, although they were there, weren't there in that aspect of like you guys had men in your lives, like your dads are really awesome, your grandfathers, you know. I didn't have them. They were there physically, but they were not there emotionally and stuff like that. So I think for me, it's all of you guys here that I think make the biggest impact. And I think it's exciting because I not only get to work with you, I get to be impacted by you and changed by, you know, something I can pick up and change on every single day. So I think it's amazing. What about you, Josie?
Yeah, I second it, and not to get too soppy, but definitely everyone
Anybody
here
need a tissue?
Yeah. Let me just like hang on. No, but like everyone here, because I've never really had like a big family. It's been like my dad and my mum. I have a really big family. I just have never known any of them. So I feel really lucky to kind of like be here and like have this family too. And obviously Seb, Misty, Pierre, Mel, we're all the core family, and Andy and Ronan, I've been following you for way before I was even in the core family and FLC too. So yeah, I feel very, very appreciative, whatever the word is, to be here, and very lucky. So yeah, definitely all of you, all of these guys, and Misty, who I run this all with, and you're amazing too. I have another question. So we posted a video not long ago, and we were talking about, so in our coaching call, Coach David said, it's not, what did he say? It's not reality, it's what's possible. Took me a second. It's not reality, it's what's possible. And what that means is when people tell you your goals are really big, or too big, and they're not real, that technically they are right because it's not reality right now, but it is what's possible, and that's what makes it a goal, right? And we had someone come back or some comments saying that yes, but also you do need a dose of reality in business, and you need to kind of keep yourself also on the ground. And I found that really interesting because I see both sides. So I want to know your guys' opinions on that too. What do you think about that?
I think I think it's always good to be aware of reality, sure, but that doesn't mean that you can't surpass anything. Just because it's not been done before doesn't mean you can't do it. And who's to tell you that you can't? Like, they don't know what you're capable of doing. And this kind of ties in with what Mel was saying as well, like army stuff. Like, I don't know I think a lot of you will know David Goggins. If you don't, you definitely need to check this guy out. Seb, really?
The name rings a bell, but I
David-
can't picture his face.
Can't hurt me. So he's like a Navy SEAL guy who just like surpasses like so many records. I don't know. There's a book called Can't Hurt Me. I think that's right. If not, I don't know. It might. I think it's that. But it's his story, and it's just the he just surpasses every kind of like limit he imposes on himself or anyone else imposes on himself, but imposes on him, like both physically, mentally, and it's incredible just to hear his story. And actually, I was listening to that book when I did my first like 10K race, and it really helped. Be like when you're listening to it, you know, you can't help but be like, yeah, I think we can swear on here, right? Can we?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking do this. Like, there's no fucking way I can't do this, because I think like Grant Cardone says, like, stop being a little bitch. So that's all my swear word quotes are out now. Hopefully, we'll see.
I was gonna say, Pierre's getting excited, he can swear, so he's gonna let it all out at once.
But yeah, no. Generally, I think, and then going back to the question, it's like, I think it's good to be aware of reality, but I don't think that should limit you to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to do it and you know you're going to do it, then do whatever you need to do it. Or as Chibaro says, do whatever good it takes to do it. So anyone that tells you can't do something, they haven't tried it themselves or something. I think something like that.
Can I add 2 things to
That's a
that?
good point. Yeah.
How many things? 2 things.
Two.
It wouldn't be FLC if we didn't have a little bit of how many things. Would it? If you know, you know. If you don't, get to know. But the first thing, what you said, Pierre, was so in sync. It was like you were in my brain, which is a bit strange.
I think that's a common occurrence, to be fair.
It is quite common. Yeah. It's like you've got a secret pass that just gets you in there somehow.
It's the Professor X vibes.
All right, Xavier. Yeah, I see. And then my love for Patrick Stewart as well just enhances. Brilliant. Oh yeah, lovely. I love Patrick.
Lovely.
I love Patrick Stewart so much. Definitely an idol. Anyway, there was 2 things. How many things? 2 things. We'll get there. The first one is a quote by Mark Hughes. I don't know if any of you guys know Mark Hughes. He founded Herbalife Nutrition, big network marketing company, been around since Josie was born. Before then, long time.
I love how that's a timestamp.
Yeah, exactly. That was before Josie and after, and this was pre-Josie. But he said a quote that I really love, and I might get it not exactly right, but it says, your only limit is your imagination. So when you were saying that, and then Pierre was talking, I was just thinking about that, and it's so true. And it's like, I think it's sad. It saddens me a little bit that people dim down their potential because they just don't believe enough. Like when you're a kid, that imagination doesn't have a limit until someone comes along and tells you, oh, that's not, sensible or possible or right or this or that. So why shouldn't we allow ourselves to pursue the thought of what if? Because we go the other way, like what if negatively? Oh, what if it goes wrong? What if this happens? What about the flip side of that? There's always 2 sides to the conversation. There's always 2 sides to the possibility, and the reality is probably somewhere in the middle. So allow yourself to dream big on both sides. Why not? And then you're going to better the odds for what you might achieve. So I think it saddens me when people limit their potential because they're scared to dream big enough. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, and it's so funny you were on about running, Pierre, is I was thinking about Roger Bannister and the 4-minute mile. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that story, right? Before he did the 4-minute mile, everyone was like, no, that's not possible. And, you know, it wasn't reality yet. No one had done it, but people were saying it was just impossible. He dared to dream a little bit different and to think a little bit bigger and go, I can do it. Probably didn't know how. Okay, run faster. Yeah, but how? Right? All the rest of it. Just run faster, damn it. But he believed and he did it. Right. And obviously now with the, you know, enhancements in like, you know, like track and like shoes and all the things, medicine, physiology, all the things we're learning, a 4-minute mile is even easier now. So it was even harder back then, right? Which is even makes it even more incredible. But the important thing is, what happened after he did it?
So many others did it.
So many other people did it shortly afterwards, and now it's normal. If you know, well, not normal for sex.
Speak for yourself.
It ain't normal for me. I look at that and go, I'm happy with my 7 to 8 minute mile. Thank you very much. Although at the minute a mile takes me about 15 million years because I've just had a new ACL. But that's the point, right? As soon as somebody does it first, then it becomes it's a real thing. It's possible. And a lot of, I think when we think about the things we want to achieve, there are already things that have been done. Like if someone wants to make $1 million, that isn't like it's not a thing that nobody's done. So many people do that. That is normal. And if you don't think it's normal, you need to get yourself around circles where that is normal conversation. Because then you're going to be surrounded by people who go, yeah, I did that yesterday. Yeah, that's what we do every month. That's what we do every year. And then the narrative changes, right? So I think it's not like we're all trying to, well, I say all, I think the majority of people are not trying to imagine to do things that are not yet done. They're just thinking a little bit bigger than maybe their immediate circle. So maybe just have a look at your environment and change that, and then the conversation changes.
Yeah, you just reminded me of 2 things. How many things? 2 really quick things. The quote that's the bird about to jump off the building. He's like, but what if I fall? And the mom's like, but what if you fly? So that's you reminded me of that. And also, you never really truly know your limits until you push it, right? There's no way of knowing how far you can go until you start pushing it and you fail. So
I remember Stephen Bartlett saying his Diary of a CEO tour, which your brother was in actually, Pierre. Stephen Bartlett, if you don't know him, get to know him. Incredible. Someone I definitely admire as well, actually. Young guy, very successful, a lot of good qualities that I admire. But he said that in his show, and that is the one thing that stuck with me from that show. And he said, you'll never know your limit if you live so far within it. I'll never forget hearing that on stage.
The thing is, just to add to all of this, that we all know like your tribe is your vibe and all this type of thing. But it's when you see these people, like there's the term that my mum uses, right? And my mum is a bit of a worrier and a stress head and stuff, as we say, but it's a realist. I'm just being a realist, Andrew. And I'm like, what is a realist? And to me, it's the definition of their own limitations. And we all know that our thoughts create our own reality. To go a bit woo-woo, we're all projecting our own reality, right? So these people are coming from their own limited beliefs, but trying to project their own limited beliefs onto you within the, so the after, like Seb, you just said it about your tribe is your vibe and surrounding yourself and look at your circle. I've distanced myself from a lot of people, whether subconsciously, intentionally or not. Now, I don't wish him any ill will, all the love in the world, like forgive, but don't forget, all that type of stuff. But I just don't resonate with them anymore. And what I'm finding is who are you to tell me how I can do my job when you've not walked these, when we say walk a mile in my shoes and all these different analogies. And I think for somebody to try and like limit your potential when they don't know. So I always say, like, I always remember Master Sheikh Hasna, there's no such thing as can, or no such thing as can and cannot, and there's only will and won't. But I always say to my kids as well, not just Ronan, I've got 3 young kids, and I'll just say, go, I don't like it, or I can't do it. I go, how do you know? You've not even tried. No, I can't do it. You don't know because you don't try. You either can or you can't. So it comes down to will you or won't you try? And to me, it's like, as soon as somebody says like, oh, you can't do it, I'm like, okay, Okay. And that to me is like, right, watch this space. And it's that motivation that I think we get and we drive, because I could quite easily have stayed in my comfort zone and stayed a financial analyst and stayed in a job that I hated and just stole a wage. And if my face wasn't fit, I wasn't getting promoted, and I just do that. But if I never chose to want to be my own boss, to motivate myself to work 2 jobs for like 12 to 18 months before I could stick my fingers up at my boss, we're going to walk out, story for another day, right? But that was literally 12, 13 years ago. No, like I can't even look back and think where I would be today if I didn't take that step. And it's scary, but we're all complacent. We're all stuck in our own comfort zones. And I think we just got to dream a little, and we just got to go, well, if I can't do it, let's just try. And if you fail, like you say, Seb, you fail forward, and you still, even if your goals are right up here and you fall short, you're still a lot further than where you're meant to be. So for me, I don't believe any of that at all. It's not in my reality for any realists or anything like that. If I dream big, I know I'm going to get there. And who are you to tell me no, if that makes sense? But yeah, that's just my 2 pennies worth.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing that I'd just like to add on a tiny bit there is when most people come at you with this realism sort of thing, or like they come to you and go, well, if you could be like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, and then someone can come over and go, well, you could die doing that, or you could, just using that as an example. But I think for most people, it is literally their own ego coming out and just trying to protect you because they cared about you. Because usually it is someone who cares about you going, oh, well, that might not work there. If it's someone that you don't really like, then you're not really going to take in their opinion anyway. I think what's best in those situations where someone can go, do you think that'll work? Or but in your heart, right, this is the best thing for me, and I know it, you know what I mean? And you can sort of tell. You just got to realize that is someone's limited beliefs. That is someone just trying to protect you. And that is someone's ego. The same way your own ego will come into place and start protecting you and going, no, we're trying to protect you, thinking it's protecting you. Well, someone could laugh at you there, or someone, it comes in and tries to like stop you from what you're doing. And someone's own limited beliefs can help reaffirm your ego's beliefs. So you've always just got to be mindful and check yourself and just be like, right, okay, well, that my ego is telling me, no, you can stay in here, you can stay in bed, watch Netflix all day, but deep down in your heart that you want something different. So you've always got to be mindful and just try and change it, and just constantly every day believe in yourself.
Yeah,
Very
I love
true.
that. It's if you don't believe in yourself, then how can anyone else believe in you? Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Mel, what about you? Do you have anything to add? You're sitting there looking wise.
Thank you. I think connecting with what Roland said, there's a difference between haters and naysayers. And this is what we learned from Grant Cardone as well. And your haters, they hate you, but they promote you, and they're promoting you. So like, there's nothing wrong with haters at all. You're always going to get haters. But I would say naysayers are probably the most dangerous, because usually they are the ones that actually like you and are the closest to you, or like family, friends, for example. Like they love you and they care about you, but kind of like what Ronan said as well, like maybe they're just trying to protect you, and like their ego is coming out and they're just projecting their limiting beliefs onto you. So yeah, I think it's very important for us to make that distinction and not acknowledging that they love you, that they care about you, but not allowing that to stop you from achieving what you want. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. I think the world would be a very, very different place if everyone was real and like stuck to reality, and didn't dream big. So yeah,
That'd be
and
pretty sad.
I thought you were
it'd
going
be
to go down the Ready Player One vibe then.
I don't even know what that is. So
What?
And
Oh my God.
that's like your generation as well.
oh really? Oh,
Homework for
okay.
everybody. Watch Ready Player One. It's a great film, but you're going to learn so much as well if you just watch it with an open mind.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll do that. I'm taking that personally. But yeah, do. I think it's very true. Ronan and Mel, what you were saying reminded me of this, that recently, a week ago or so, I was having lots of people try and kind of talk me out of what I'm doing here and talk me out of FLC, and I was talking to the core family about it, and Pierre actually said something along the lines of like, who actually are these people to you? I was like, yeah, like random people. I don't even really know them. So if they're, yeah, I think everyone has their opinions, but like all of you said, it's important to kind of keep pushing your limits, believe in yourself, and just keep going. So yeah.
I thought you
Yeah,
were going
I
to
think
say
it's
everything about assholes and opinions.
No, I won't go there. Oh, go ahead.
so I think it's like everybody says here, it's people are talking to you and they're telling you can't do this, and they think that they're coming from a place of care and good and love, and in reality, like you guys said, they're projecting their own limiting beliefs onto you. But if you know in your, like, I'm a really emotional person, so I know in me and deep inside of me that what they're saying is not true, and that's not what I want, and I'm the one willing to work for it, then why am I going to buy into what they're saying? Like Grant Cardone says, and we say here, listen to what they're saying, but don't buy into it. You can thank you, say, hey, thank you for your opinion. I really appreciate that. I'll take that into consideration, let it go, and you do your own thing anyway. And I've said before, and I like the analogy that you're not a marionette. You have no strings attached to you, and just because somebody else puts their own limiting beliefs or they limit themselves onto something doesn't mean you have to do that too. So if you're willing to work hard for something, because I hear it all the time, this is not right, you can't do this, you're not smart enough, and this is just a scam. Well, if I'm willing to work hard for what I want, then why can't I have it? It's not affecting you, it's affecting me. I'm the one doing it. I'm not hurting anybody. So I'm going to go for it. So don't limit yourselves to anything unless you feel like you need to be limited. But really, in all reality, there's nothing to limit you. What's that saying? It's aim for the moon and hang among the stars.
Yeah,
Or
shoot for the
either
moon,
way. Yeah,
land in the stars.
something like that. Yeah.
Something like
Whoever said that quote is like
that. Wrong.
Yeah. So, guys, as we go to wrap up, is there any kind of advice you would give somebody else who is maybe struggling with some of this stuff, or looking for somebody to not mentor, but to be mentored by?
I would just say, obviously, there's a lot of power, and we talked about it, surrounding yourself with people who have got the mindset that you want, who are achieving the things that you want as well, and don't believe in those limitations and are just going for it no matter what. And then short of that, if that's not possible, maybe you don't have access to that kind of network yet. And I say yet because it's only a matter of time. If you're feeling that you need that kind of environment, you're going to find it some way or another, or you'll attract it in some way, shape, or form. I'll let you do that, Josie. The next best thing is like finding mentors online. Like, they don't have to teach you personally straight away, but you can start looking at YouTube, you can start reading blogs or whatever it might be, reading books, and just start to shape your environment yourself with what you want to read, instead of watching the news or spending your day on TikTok or Instagram or whatever it may be. Start to actually filter what you're actually doing. Don't watch the news, don't read the newspaper. You're going to find out anyway. I don't watch the news, I don't read the newspapers. I find out because people tell me about it anyway. I don't need to read it, I don't need to waste my time finding out about that. Instead, I'm my YouTube feed is full of business tips, business ideas, self-motivation, health stuff. And that's something, that's such a wonderful thing about like the algorithm. And like it can be good for like distracting you, but it can also be good in lifting you up and educating you and to get you to another level. So leverage all those tools and like actually use them, don't be used by them. Yeah, so I think that's what I have to say about that. I think that's the best thing to do if you're kind of struggling to begin with.
Awesome. Thank you.
That.
Anybody else?
Wise words from a wise man.
Is that
I
why
like
he's
what you
got the
said about
beard?
the algorithm.
All the wise guys have got the beard.
Where's
Yeah.
yours? Come on, Josie.
Mine?
I shaved this
Theodore.
morning.
No, you pull it forward like
Josie,
Shanita
yours
did.
is a little bit porn star, Tash. I'm not gonna lie.
Here's mine. Wise
Forget that.
beard. A little goatee.
And Misty looks like she's about to be in an action film, a really bad 90s one about cars that go into space now instead of just racing on the streets. No references there. I liked what you said about the algorithm, Pierre. I just want to touch on that because it's an important thing. Like everything's a tool, really. Like people will say social media is bad, or they'll say this is bad, and obviously we were just speaking about other people's beliefs and things as well. But it's all about actually how you use it. Like you could use, like Pierre does, use it, YouTube, and if you watch enough of the videos that you want, that and you're intentional about what you're watching, then suddenly YouTube's a great place to go. Like, yeah, you could still use it and spend too much time there and not implement what you're learning. But again, that's all about how you use it. So my tip or my advice would be really intentional, focus on one thing. Don't try and do everything. Do one thing. Figure out what that one thing is that you want to do. Maybe it's that you want to become a great salesperson. Maybe you want to be a great marketer. Maybe you want to start your own business and you've got an idea. Figure out one thing, one skill set, and then go all in on that. And then, when you've got to a space where that is providing you what you want out of it, then look at, something else, the next thing. But where I think most people go wrong is that they're not intentional enough and they're splitting their focus. And then that's where the overwhelm comes in. That's where people get stuck and then nothing really works because they never give everything 100% really. They give everything for, a day, a couple of days, and then they get shiny object syndrome and jump to the next thing and the next thing and the next distraction and the next thing. And then that's why they don't get anywhere. And it's not that they're not putting the effort in. It's just that they're not being intentional about where they're putting the effort in. So take a moment to think about it before you do start moving forward. Is like, what is the direction I want to go in? And if you don't know what the one thing you want to focus on is, just pick something. Because after a week, 2 weeks, a month, if you stick something out and put 100% focus into something, you'll soon realize actually, if you give it long enough and give it enough time and energy and dedication and care and attention, you'll soon realize that maybe you try and, learn closing and learn the skill set of sales. Maybe after a month, you're like, actually, I want to be a setter, not a closer. Or maybe, you realize, actually, I really like copywriting instead, but you're not going to, if you just stand still and don't move at all, then you're never going to figure out what the one thing is. And it's not a permanent decision forever. It's just, what am I going to do next? What is my next best step? And focus on that. But the flip side, or the caveat to it, I should say, not the flip side, the caveat to it is you need to ask yourself 2 things. How many things? 2 things. I feel like I'm teaching on DCA. If you don't know what DCA is, ask Josie and Misty about it. They'll hook you up. It's amazing.
Yes.
But that's where we train people to become sales beasts. But I think all of that only works with these 2 things in mind. So one is radical self-responsibility. I talk about this a lot. I'm a big advocate for it. People probably like, shut up about the self-responsibility thing, Seb. But it's the difference between fault and blame and responsibility. It might not be your fault that you're in the situation that you're in, that you're broke, that you don't have enough time, that whatever it is that's going on in your mind right now might be circumstantial. It might be your fault as well. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe you spent all your money and, you're bankrupt now, like I've been. I know Andy's been through some financial troubles as well. Definitely my fault, right? But there might be things that's not your fault. But what 100% is your responsibility to change it. If you're not happy with where you're at, stop throwing the blame around and just look inwards and take the responsibility to make it better. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and I love this question, and this question changed my life, and I'll always drill this home. So if you're listening to this and you're kind of zoning out, listen the heck up for 10 seconds. Write this down and print this in your brain. The question is, and if you answer this honestly, it will change your life. What is keeping you so loyal to a life that is keeping you so stuck? What is keeping you so loyal to a life that's keeping you so stuck? And the honest answer to that will allow you to then take responsibility and move forward and focus your energy on that one thing. But if you're feeling stuck, that's a great question to ask yourself to get yourself unstuck. As probably to something that's not serving you.
Damn.
Quickly add like
Powerful.
self-responsibility thing, like get rid of the victim mentality, like it's not serving you. And yeah, I love it when Seb talks about self-responsibility, because I you know, implement that within my life, and everything is my responsibility. If I haven't succeeded in doing something, it's my fault. If there's been an obstacle in my way and I've not moved that obstacle or gone around it or gone past whatever it is, it's my fault. It's not the obstacle. I don't think, oh, poor me, there's an obstacle in my way. I think, no, how can I get around this, and what can I do? If it means, you know, I need to speak to other people, then I'll speak to other people. If I can do it myself, I'll do it myself. But yeah, get rid of the victim mentality, 100%.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a
Definitely.
question on that? Because I love, like, some people feel resistance to it, right? Like, oh no, like I have to take responsibility for things that are not my fault. Yeah, quick question on that. Was it, well, this is what I thought, and let me know if you thought the same, because I know that you are such an action taker with this, is for me, the thought of taking full radical responsibility, and that's why I call it that, because it's like no excuses, radical self-responsibility. The thought of it was terrifying. But as we speak about a lot, the fear lies in the anticipation of just doing the thing, right?
Mhm.
When I actually started taking self-responsibility, it was actually the most liberating thing. And it really did feel like that. It was like this weight was just taken off of me. And I was like, oh, wow, I feel so much more free and less, just, you know, less burden on my shoulders. Even though I'm taking more on, because I'm taking the responsibility, it was really liberating and empowering. And I just wonder if you felt, how you felt through that process, like before and afterwards.
Well, I think, yeah, I think if you start to take responsibility for yourself, you naturally start to take action, because I think it just, and you say this a lot, Seb, and I'll butcher how you say it, but like the fear lies in the anticipation of action and not in the action itself, because once you actually start to do something, you'll find that the fear's gone. It's that first step. It's like going out to the gym. Like, you don't want to leave the house, maybe you're on the sofa, all you need to do is stand up, put your shoes on, take one step outside. And that's, you know, that's a very basic example, and that might not be scary to a lot of people, but for some it might be. But like it's like with anything, like as soon as you take the first step in anything, yeah, this goes more into taking action rather than self-responsibility, I guess. But
Is that, it's taking, so for me, being responsible is taking the appropriate action.
Yeah.
It is, and not avoiding it and not putting it off and going, well, that's not my fault, I shouldn't have to deal with that. And then it's staying in that victim mentality and not
well, it's
being disciplined enough to be like, okay, doesn't matter how or why I'm here, I'm going to fix it.
it's hard. I think it's hard. Like, it's a big hit to the ego to accept that you're the reason that you're stuck or been in a shitty position you've been in. I think that's like a really hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. Because you know, if you're struggling and it's difficult, and you seem to have things around you happening to you that maybe you just feel like an unlucky person, and yeah, sometimes it can be really, really shit.
And then do you find yourself saying, could it get any worse? And then funnily enough, what happens? It gets worse.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, you should, in those cases, like, I forgot where I read it, but it's like, how can it get better than this? Like, always ask yourself, how can it get better than this? And often times that'll be kind of what you're looking for, and it'll be what manifests. Is, you know, for example, if you buy a new car, for example, and then all of a sudden you start seeing that car absolutely everywhere. Bless you, mate.
Bless you.
Hey, fever.
Yeah, so you start seeing that car everywhere. But if you start looking for the positive rather than the negative, you're going to start manifesting that, seeing more of it.
Because that's the
and
thing, right? With that thing about the car, is it that there were more cars suddenly on the road, or is it that you just awareness shifted?
you're aware of it. Yeah, you've changed your vibrations, right? And you start manifest attracting. I think Bob Proctor, like, I won't go into it because it's not in my area of expertise, but for what I've learned from Bob Proctor, like once you get that into your, you know, subconscious or whatever, once you're kind of the wavelengths are the same, I'll do this little thing. Eventually you're kind of everything that you want, you're here, everything you want's here. And there's all these different wavelengths in between, but eventually you start being on the same wavelength, and then it just all happens. Very smooth. I don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
basic, it's kind of like taking control back, being self-aware and taking control back of the situation and fixing it. Staying solution
Yeah.
focused.
I think what like the we've all been talking about ego, whether you're aware of this, we're talking about ego and being consciously aware and aligned and spiritual aligned and stuff. That was one of the biggest, hardest pills for me to swallow, like Pierre said, where when I was at rock bottom, and I'm talking rock bottom, I had this victim mentality, and I think we've all been there in some way. And we talk about when you're woke and stuff like that, and there's different definitions. But for me, it was like, we know that nothing happens to you, it happens for you. Again, you don't know until you know, right? But then I was like, once I got hit rock bottom and there was nowhere else, and I was like, right, I'm fucking sick of being here. I don't know where else to go. Right. But then I was blaming everybody else. But then when I took on the onus and I dropped the ego and then gone, okay, right, these are the cards been dealt. What's the lessons? No challenges. What's the lessons? That's when I leveled up, and I leveled up quick. And because all of a sudden you take that control and you take aligned action. And like you said, it's one step after the other, these 1%. And one of my early mentors talked to me like scattered focus, scattered results, and on about multitasking and stuff. And it's just like, but there's this overwhelm of like, oh, well, I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to do this. No, you don't. Strip it back, write it all down, get it out of your head, put it onto paper, pick one, start next, pick one, start next. And it seems too easy when you do it like that, but it is. And it's just one step after the other. And it's this slow progression becomes parabolic, and the momentum kicks in, and we fall forward, as you keep saying. So no, I think that's what I've took from this. And I think we've all roundabout said the same things, and we're all kind of in the same journey and the same wavelength. So I think it was really good how we've all kind of come alignment. So yeah, for me, algorithm really good. Like I say, YouTube and Instagram is just things that I like to see now. Another one for me, which is a big one, if you find yourself with these limiting beliefs and it's because of the people you surround yourself with, is you do need to distance yourself, you do need to go within, you do need to do that shadow work. And it was NLP, like neuro linguistic programming, positive affirmations and stuff on YouTube. That's all free. That helped me get out that rut. And then, like, those of you know me and met me through my journey with FLC, is that I had a tiger, that the kind of that motivation music, that power music, that to drive. And you're your own worst critic, but you're also your own like best supporter. So it's just finding that line. And I think for me now, I'm there, and it's like, okay, what next? And there's that childlike excitement as to what that next is. And rather than trying to control it and going, okay, like, let's just roll a dice, see where it lies, and then whatever's meant to be is meant to be. So having that freedom, and like you just said, then Seb, it's scary, it's terrifying, but then once you see it and it all starts unfolding, it's exhilarating, because you're like, oh my God, my thoughts do create my own reality. I am my own worst enemy. I'm like, okay. And then now when you realize that, you forgive, but don't forget, you level up and you go, okay, what's next? What do I want to do? And then that's when it kind of goes down all these different rabbit holes, as I say. But yeah, I've literally motivated from this conversation. I've come away now and I'm like, right, I'm going to go. I can hear Eye of the Tiger playing again. I want to shout shadow boxing and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, go ahead.
It's the only thing that I'm really going to add on, because I think everyone's sort of said exactly what I'd say, to be fair, but the only thing I'd add on is just like a side on to what Seb, Pierre and my dad said, is, I mean, I think this is person by person, but I've for some reason, I don't know why, that version that everyone says is your own worst critic. Usually for me, it's usually just I'm too hard on myself. So you've got to always remember that you need to be your own best cheerleader as well. As much as you might go, oh, I've done this wrong. Oh, how can I improve this? How can I improve that? And sometimes, like everyone said, it can just overwhelm you because you're trying to take the responsibility, but you're seeing, oh God, I've got this to do, got this to do, this to do. It sort of overwhelms you. You just need to be your own best cheerleader as much as possible. Try and switch perspective back to, all right, we can do this. Come on, and encourage yourself, and just take one step at a time. Because if you keep on looking at every single thing that you got to do, then you'll just sit back and be like, no, I'm not doing it. So that's the best advice that I can sort of give on that.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Al, what about you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think progress over perfection is also very important. And this is one thing that I've been learning a lot as well, because I'm not trying to put labels on myself, but I'm definitely like, I try to always make sure that everything is like done correctly, everything's right. But that's good. That's definitely good. Like, it's good to make sure that things are done. But at the same time, that could also be what's holding you back as well. If you're too hard on yourself and you beat yourself up for like mistakes or what could have been better. But instead, if you just kept on moving forward, you would be a lot further than if you were just thinking about like, maybe I could have done this better, or yeah. So like progress over perfection, I think is very important, and just keep moving towards the next thing. Is you're going to go a lot faster than if you're trying to fix something and just keep on thinking about what you could have done better in the past.
Yeah. Ooh, oh, I love this conversation so much. And just before Misty wraps up, I do want to say two really quick things. That one, how many? Two. One, like Seb said, you need to take responsibility, and everyone here has said it, and that can be really scary. So it's kind of like, the bad news is that you need to take responsibility, but the good news is that you take responsibility, because in taking responsibility, you have control, right? And you can only change what you can control. So if you take responsibility, whether it's good or bad, if it's bad, you can change it. If it's good, great. It's because of you. So celebrate that. And yeah. And number two, please make sure to follow all of these guys. Instagrams, Facebooks, description below. Really, like, I think Andy, you said it, that your tribe is your vibe, and you are the average of the people you surround yourself with. So really follow these guys. And yeah, I really appreciate all of you, Andy, Ronan, Seb, Mel, Pierre. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, excited to have you all back.
Yes, definitely. We want to thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are, it's true honor and privilege to be able to get to know you guys, to work with you guys, and be able to be mentored by you and learn from you guys every day. We're so honored to be, have you guys in our lives, and we thank you guys so much for being here and sharing your knowledge with everybody else. And we wanted to thank you guys who are tuning in, either live, replay, whatever. We want to thank you guys for being here on the episode of the Hangout today. We hope that you found the discussion informative and engaging. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our channel and leaving a comment with your thoughts and suggestions for future topics. We value your feedback and would love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends and family who might find it helpful. We want to be sure to get this channel out there to help as many people as possible to reach their freedom lifestyle. Why? Because everybody deserves to be happy and free, right? So we'll be back with another episode on Sunday, so stay tuned, keep learning, and from all of us here at the FLC, welcome to the family, where once you're family for life. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Yay.